we're live, so stop all the adult language. All right.
Oh man, I hadn't even got it all out yet.
Oh, I gave you a half hour. All right. My chat's not coming through. Let's go chat. There we go. All right. Okay. So, I need to spam my Discord. I forgot to do that.
Oh, this is important.
This is super important. I already spammed Twitter. I had that automated, scheduled. Now I gotta do the Discord.
I see some of my guys in the chat, so
Oh,
I did my
your
part.
guys? How many guys do you have?
I have a few that came through. I don't know.
A few that came through. You guys, I'm gonna be on a Luke stream.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I said something on Twitter.
Oh, where's the videos and streams? There you go. All right. Okay. What's the topic of this video? Oh yeah. Okay.
I don't even think I think it's showing your Discord on the stream.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Yeah, but it's really
Okay.
small. They can't really see a whole lot.
Okay.
If they can, congratulations to them. Discussing D&D has lost its way. Oh wow, super spicy. Spicy. Is it for real or just clickbait? A little of both? We shall see. Alright, and then I gotta put that there. We're gonna get at everyone. Whoa, calm down. My keyboard is freaking out today. Alright. And then where is... There we go. Boom. Alright, I think I have done the spammage on my Discord. So I think that's the prerequisite. Now we can start the stream. So, technically we're already streaming. All right, let's go to... All right, now we are full screen. Oh, the little kitty in the background. Yay! I feel jealous because despite having as many cats as I have, they never come down. Well, Squeaky does. Well, sometimes another one does. But many times my cats no longer come down on the stream because I have a dog. And many times my dog is down here, and it's like the dog's territory. And the dog doesn't bother them, but still, they tend to not come down here. So, it's sad.
Well, I'm talking at my computer now, so there's like a 50% chance that my littlest cat will get behind the monitor and start ripping cords out because she knows that she'll get attention.
So if you were to give her attention when she was good, this might not happen.
It's my fault, really.
It's really your fault, yeah.
Yeah,
it's all your fault. All right, let's do the intro crap here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live stream. I am joined here by the illustrious Harmony Ginger. You may know her from Twitter, or X as they call it these days, where she has riveting discussions about D&D and TTRPGs. I would imagine, right?
Yeah, mostly. I'm involved in a lot of TTRPG discussions. I'm actually really lucky that people sometimes listen to what I have to say, but you go on there now and
your Twitter is larger than mine. Like, you have more followers than me, so I mean, they listen to you more than they do to me, probably. So
I've just been doing today hasn't been very productive for RPG discussions.
So you got real work done then,
it's been
in other words.
No memes.
Oh, memes. Oh, okay. Well, you've been okay. All right. Well, fair. There you go. Nice. So anyway, what are we? So we're going to be talking about how D&D has lost its way, how it has strayed from its roots. And this is either like a who's cares topic, play the game how you want or whatever, or somebody can get really up to arms in this. But we're just going to talk about it. We're going to discuss it. It's going to be fun. We have 2 hours, so we're going to deep dive on that. I have a couple notes. I have this many notes, and I 100% guarantee you that we will fill 2 hours with this because it is cool. And that's what we do around here. We just talk. Before we jump in, I want to let you know that we do have a giveaway going on. There should be a link in the chat where you can join the giveaway. We're going to be giving away $50 DM Lair store credit. We have a whole bunch of D&D 5th edition content over there, adventure modules, we have anthologies, we have resource books, we have Pathfinder 2 stuff over there too. We have map packs, we have Foundry VTT stuff. There's a whole bunch of cool crap over there, and the winner of the giveaway is going to get $50 to go grab some cool crap over there. And then we also, I want to let you guys, you probably already, when you joined the live stream, you probably already had to watch a video of me talking about it, but I'm going to plug it again because I'm a sleazy punk. But our Kickstarter, Feybound Trickery of the Wilds, is coming up very soon, probably a couple months from now. And right now, some of you are saying, Luke, what are you talking about, Feybound Trickery of the Wilds? What is that? I thought your Kickstarter was called Escape from the Fey. Well, it was. It was. However, Zach and I were thinking about this project, and we were like, it's 12 long adventures, over 100 monsters, and it's really cool. But how can we make it even better? And so we're like, let's make this. We were like, how can we make this book even cooler? And we decided to make it the biggest, baddest, Fey-themed expansion for D&D 5e ever. And we did a little homework, and we couldn't find any really big Fey expansions. And so we're like, all right, what can we stuff into this sucker? And so we have, obviously there was a campaign setting. We're making the campaign setting, well, it's now 4 times as big. Yeah, I'm trying to do math here. The campaign setting is now 4 times as big as it was going to be. And the map is 4 times bigger, all that cool stuff. We have added, we now have 6 playable races that are going to be in there. There's going to be 10 subclasses in there. Everything's Fey themed. 10 subclasses, 6 playable races. We added in, there are new Fey gameplay mechanics. We are brainstorming all these new mechanics that we can put in there. And then you still get the adventures, the entire adventure module, level 5 to 11 full-length adventure module, and then over 100 Fey monsters as well. And we're adding on more monsters because Zach was like, Luke, we're making the campaign setting 4 times as big. We have to add more monsters. And I'm like, you suck, but you're right. And so anyway, this book is going to be huge. It's going to be awesome. So you can follow it. There's a link down in the description and the chat where you can follow this. It's going to be launching fairly soonish. We're not exactly nailing down the date right now, but you want to follow it because we're going to have early backer specials where you essentially save a bunch of money during like the first 3 days. It's what we usually do. So if you back within the first 3 days, you save a bunch of money, and you want to follow it because Kickstarter will notify you when we launch. So that's why you want to go follow it. Do it right now. Otherwise, Harmony will find you. I will pay her to find you. She has nothing better to do than memes on Twitter, so she has time. All right, cool. That's my sleazy plug. Now we'll go back to the interview. She's like, Luke, you didn't tell me that I was getting recruited for this.
No, I'm more mad that you outed my side business.
Oh, what's your side business?
We don't talk about it. You don't just ask me, give me a target like on a stream. What is this?
All right, I'm gonna mute the stream for a second. Okay, what's your side business?
That was a joke.
Oh,
wait,
okay.
you didn't mute the stream, did you?
No, not really. I was hoping you were gonna out yourself.
No.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so we should probably talk about the main topic. Our premise, the premise here, apparently. When I asked Harmony to come on the stream, and I was like, Harmony, I don't have an idea what to talk about. Like, I knew I wanted to bring her on because, like, I don't know, I was getting tired of doing Q&As or something. But I was like, let's bring Harmony on. And I was like, Harmony, what are we going to talk about? And she said, D&D as a war game. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? So what is going on? What's the premise of this, what we're talking about tonight?
Okay, no, you asked me what the latest Twitter discussions were on, and so I
okay.
looked at my notifications and I was like, I think people are talking about D&D as a war game right now.
So you had to research this. You came up with this. You're just okay. All right. So neither of us really know what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, but we're gonna do the best we can. You did your homework? I didn't do any homework.
I mean, it's something I've talked about before.
Oh, cool. All right. Then we're half prepared. Well, she's prepared.
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah.
Okay. So what are we talking about?
So I think we're talking about the evolution of Dungeons and Dragons from like 0E and AD&D to what we have today, and
Mhm.
whether the core of the game is the same game that people were playing in the 70s.
Okay.
And this is actually really hotly debated because if you look at the rule books, the answer is probably no. And
Mm.
probably the game has shifted so much to a completely different game since then. But if you listen to accounts of people who were playing back then, a lot of them will say, yeah, no, the core of the game is very similar and there weren't that many alterations. This is actually how people ran. So
Mhm.
it's actually a fairly interesting debate to be a part of. Um, I like to look at what the rules say, but also I think accounts of people who were there at the time are also very valuable for us.
Yeah, I
So,
think
mhm.
definitely because like if you were to show me the rules of D&D 5e right now, I would gather based upon the rules that there's a lot of combat because the game mechanics and the rules around combat are like 90% of the book. There's an entire book, the Monster Manual, that's pretty much just it's for combat for all intents and purposes, right? There's some lore and some stuff in there, but most of it's to fight and kill and take their stuff, And so, if I look at the rules, I'm like, oh, it's a combat game. But if you look at a lot of people's games, you never almost never see combat, you know. And it's a lot of social interactions, the talky bits, a little bit of exploration, you know. So, but what's interesting, what you said is that it's not just enough to look at the rules of the game back in the day, but like the accounts of what people said. Because just because the rules are a thing doesn't mean that that's the way people actually played the game. So I think that's an important consideration, right?
I think it is. I think the rules, the way they're written down, are the most important pieces of this puzzle to put together, but accounts matter too. Now, it's actually funny you say that about combat because I'm going to talk about a meme and I'm going to do the thing
Okay.
where I describe a meme and it's not going to be funny because I'm describing it.
Are
Okay,
we able
so
to
I
look
ran
it
across
up?
a
Are
meme.
we able to find it online and show
I
it on
don't
stream?
know.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I ran across a meme on Reddit,
Uh huh.
and it was like sad Walter White. Walter White
Yep.
after
Uh-huh.
I know this is Breaking Bad spoilers, but it was sad Walter White, and it says D&D is a war game,
Uh-huh.
bros. After they remove downtime rules, and all that's left is combat, right? Because if it's just combat, clearly it's a war game, right?
Yeah. Uh huh.
But the thing is, that's like not the argument for it being a war game, and people who
Okay.
haven't delved into this argument don't understand really that combat rules are not what people are talking about when they say D&D is a war game, and
Okay.
it actually does have much more to do with downtime rules.
So,
And
because like I guess
yeah,
just to back up a second, part of
mhm.
the premise of what we're dealing with in this general conversation is the premise that D&D was designed as a war game, right? Like back in the day, that's the premise we're kind of dealing with. It was designed as a war game.
It evolved out of war games. It was rules for player characters within war game campaigns.
Right.
Now, the question is, do you have to have that war game campaign in order to play Dungeons and Dragons?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, clearly, I would probably venture a guess that something like 95+% of games we see going on today don't use war game mechanics, and they
Mm-hmm.
focus on the player characters and they have a good time just adventuring, dungeoning, and
Right.
doing things that player characters do,
Right.
right?
And when you say war game
Mhm.
mechanics, you're referring to mass combat, right?
Mass combat's a big one, yeah.
Okay. So,
Mass combat and war game dynamics. So
okay.
it's
We're gonna have to
yeah,
define this idea of war game, I guess, to kind of base this discussion. And it sounds like different people define it different ways.
they do. They do. It's a fairly hot topic of discussion as well. Like no matter how I define it, somebody in the comments will tell me I'm wrong. And that's okay. So it kind of depends on what you see as a war game. I go on podcasts and sometimes I'll
Hmm.
like call myself a war gamer and I'll say I'm a war gamer. I play games like Diplomacy, Twilight Imperium, things like that. And people will say, "Excuse me, those aren't war games," because when they say war games, they think about stuff like Warhammer skirmish games, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So it really depends. If you see diplomacy as a war game, I would argue that the core of D&D is a war game. If you do not see diplomacy as a war game,
Hmm.
I would argue that it's probably not.
So it just
So
depends on your point of view.
Yeah, it really depends on your point of view
Mhm.
with that. I'll say I'm a war gamer and I'm told I'm not a war gamer, but then I went on another
Okay.
podcast and I was like, yeah, I'm not a war gamer. I
So
just play
how
like Twilight Imperium and Diplomacy. And people are like, girl, those are war games. So
how would you define a war game?
um, I would define a war game. Ooh, this is actually a really hard one. I would say a game where um, different players are controlling factions, countries, or guilds
Okay.
and operating in conflict under a fog of war.
Okay.
That is what I would consider to be a war game, which is a very similar definition to one I've given of a Bronstein game before.
Hmm.
That definition actually came from an old mentor I had in the hobby named Jeffro Johnson.
Hmm.
He is no longer in the hobby, but I still want to attribute that to him. So those are basically that's probably what I would define a war game as. I think
Okay.
a lot of people have different definitions of this, so
What
that is not a universal thing for sure.
Okay, I think let's. I think we're going to use that definition just for the basis of this conversation, because if you can't have certain definitions of things, you really can't have an intelligible conversation. We'll use that definition, and it makes sense to me. And so I can definitely see how a game like Diplomacy. I never played it, but I get the general idea of what it is. I can see how that would be considered a war game then. Now, how would other people define a war game that doesn't mesh with the definition that we're going to be using?
I believe something that other people consider to be core to war games is so I believe a lot of people would define a war game as maybe not necessarily a 1v1 skirmish,
Hmm.
but a game where you build an army, the opponent builds an army, and you fight. Maybe you don't build the armies, maybe you're given the armies,
Oh,
but
okay.
it would be something that is around the core of combat.
So
Whereas,
that's a
Mhm.
very tight definition where combat has to be central to it, and there's probably a rule set around how that combat plays out, and it's probably
Yes.
very detailed. Like I'm moving minis around, measuring distances, and all this kind of stuff.
Yes, that would be that would be another conventional definition of war game, and I don't want to say
Okay.
Warhammer is like the only one. I mean, you have like Malifaux, you have like all sorts of other
Mm,
miniatures games that really have encompassed, I think, the war game genre a lot.
yeah.
But also, you have like the GMT games, like Axis and Allies, Twilight Struggle, which I'm not really sure if people consider Twilight Struggle a war game,
Hmm.
but like Dominant Species, these big GMT games are generally considered the standard for war games,
Okay.
and they're very different than I think the type of game that D&D came out of, which was more Kriegspiel like, but
Hmm.
or Bronstein like, depending
Hmm.
on your whatever word you want to use.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Okay. So our definition is very broad then, where other people will have it be very narrow. Essentially, is what it
yes.
sounds like. Okay. Okay. Cool. So I think we have the definition then. Okay. So where do we go from there? Where does this discussion take us from there? We know what a war game is. Some people are saying D&D was designed or it wasn't designed. How was it? I believe your contention is that D&D was designed as a war game.
Not quite. I think
No,
that
okay,
D&D was designed as rules for player characters to operate within war games, like large war games that take place over months rather
okay,
than like 6 hours like a normal war game today might take.
okay.
Um, I want to read you something,
Uh oh.
if you don't mind.
As
Um,
long as it's
this
good.
is,
As long
yeah,
as it's
yeah, it
really
was written by
good,
Gary
solid.
Gygax.
Okay, it's
This
probably pretty
is
good.
a small excerpt from page 7 of the AD&D PHB under the game
Hmm.
that would describe what a game of AD&D would be like. It's real short, but I do want to read it.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It says, while initial while initial adventuring usually takes place in an underworld dungeon
Mhm.
setting, play gradually expands to encompass other settings, such as dungeons, towns and city activities, wilderness exploration, and journeys into other dimensions, planes, times, worlds, and so forth. Players will add characters to their initial adventure as the milieu expands so that each might actually have several characters, but each involved in some separate and distinct adventure form, busily engaged in a game that's at the same moment of game time. This allows participation by many players in games that are substantially different from game to game, as dungeon, metropolitan, and outdoor settings are rotated from playing to playing, and perhaps a war between players will be going on, with battles actually fought out on the tabletop with miniature figures one night, while on the next, characters of these two contending players are helping each other survive somewhere in the wilderness. That is not the game most people are playing anymore.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
The game that I see most people playing is I have a character, I have one character, and I will have that character from level 1 to 20, and so help me God, if my dungeon master murders him, I will have a hizzy fit. So like, and it's all story based, story. That's what I tend to get the impression of that a lot of games are, or at least let's say that it's trending more and more that way.
Yeah, it is. And I don't think some people think I'm like out here crusading against like groups of like 5 players that just focus on their one characters and have like a Lord of the Rings style
Mm-hmm.
adventure. Like, I'm not. Lots of people enjoy that style of play. Obviously, it's extremely popular.
Yeah.
And they're fun games. I've been in several campaigns like that and had a wonderful time. I've run several campaigns like that as well. But what it comes down to is that game is fundamentally different from the game that was described in the AD&D PHB.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so the question is, how did we get from that to where we are now?
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything like major that was lost on the way? And why is that game that is described in the AD&D PHB, what happened to that game? How do I find that game again? Because people aren't playing it.
Yeah.
There are some groups, like some people are going to be in chat saying like, this is the game I'm playing, but it's not common. I can't go to a game shop and join a D&D game that focuses on a living world and has like players as factions that are fighting it out one week, and then the next week you're playing as the characters. That's I can't find that game.
Yeah, I would venture a guess that, well, I mean, probably the majority of game masters wouldn't even know how to run a game like that, would be my contention. I mean, some would, you know, but a lot of them would just kind of be like, I don't know what that is, dude. Just make a PC. I'm going to give you a dungeon. Let's go.
It's an extraordinarily ambitious game, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you have to, and I'm learning this now as I'm running my Godstein game. Thank you for exposing me to that wonderful thing. But I'm learning that more and more. It's like, you can't live by rules. You have to just, the player tells you they're going to do something on this like cosmic scale, and you're just like, all right, let's see, is it possible? Okay, should there be any ramifications? Let's have them roll some dice. Let's see what happens. It's very rules light, you know, and then you roll with it and you just make adjudications and stuff. I remember, like, so in our last, this happened in my Godstein game. A little quick story for you now that we're on the topic, but they were doing their divine council, okay? And the way that I haven't actually, so by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Harmony has an amazing blog post. It's linked down in the description. She has a blog spot. What is it called? It's called, what is it?
Substack.
Substack, thank you. It's tons of blog articles, just amazing stuff. Go read it. And one of her series is about Godsteins, and she keeps adding to it. Like, there's like 10 or something in it now, and I'm not all the way caught up. So I haven't actually read, I don't think I've read your articles yet about the Divine Council, and we were about to have a Divine Council in our game session, so I was like, I know what the Divine Council kind of is, so I'm gonna make up my own system for just doing it really quick here so I can run the game session. And so what I did is I knew that, for the context in this game, part of the game is the players are playing deities in the game. They're their own gods and they're doing stuff. The other part of the game is they're playing characters who are adventuring in the world that their deities are creating and interacting in. Well, they had just had their first adventure that had finished up, and so now it was time to get time caught up with the Divine Council. And so they went back from they were no longer playing their PCs, they were playing their gods, their deities, right? And the Divine Council is they elect one member who has the power to do something big as a result of this Divine Council. And so what I did is I had each of the players role-playing as their deities go around, and they were basically making a campaign pitch. If you elect me, I will do this, right? And I told them, you don't have to tell the truth. You can pitch one thing, completely lie about it, and do something else once you have the power, because politicians do that all the time, don't they now? So you can do that if you want to. And so they all did their campaign pitch. And here's what happened. One of our original players left the game, right? And so I ruled that his deity was dead, was murdered. It was just gone, out of the world. And so then a new player came in, right? And at the Divine Council, everybody did their little pitch, but the new player was like, if you elect me, I will use my power. Nobody knew who killed the deity, right? I will use my power to discover who murdered and how, the deity and how he was killed, right? They elected him, okay? And then at that point, it's like, okay, now I have to. I had to improvise, what actually happened, and then we had to decide which of the other existing deities killed the dead one, right? And it was one of the other players we just rolled randomly, and it fell to him, and he was the murderer. And so it was revealed that as part of the Divine Council that he had murdered that other deity. And we had to create like a story around it, a little bit of context and all this kind of stuff, and what had happened and how he killed him and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, but I'm going to tell you, there were like, and this was using Brownstein mechanics too. There were like no rules almost being used besides like make your campaign pitch and vote, and then you have divine power. You can do a major divine act. So he went back in time and witnessed the murder and everything that happened. He literally went back in time and saw it all happening, right? And then Divine Council's over, and the players all know this. And then I said, okay, look it, you guys all know who this is. That I think his name was Akhmut. Akhmut is the deity of death, just as it so happened. Akhmut was the one who killed him, and it was Akhmut's own sister. He killed his own sister, okay? And then the other player was like, I think, related to that, the Akhmut and the sister or something, the new deity for the new player. And so I told the players, I'm like, okay, guys, but I know you guys all know he killed him, but this is to increase drama in the game. You can't all just like decide to go kill him now, make this good, make this juicy, as opposed to just like, okay, now let's go kill Akhmut, So anyway, but the point is, what I'm trying to say is that there were no rules. You just kind of, and this was like a 4-hour game session, where we were doing this Divine Council. And we did some downtime because we were doing 1-to-1 timekeeping. So they had like 6 weeks of downtime to catch up on. And I think 4 of the players did it offline via Discord, but 2 of them didn't. And so we had to catch up. But it took up a huge part of the game session, and it was a blast. It was so much fun. As I was playing that after the game session, I was just like, this is more fun than I've had in a D&D game for like years, 5 years. This was just crazy. And we weren't even using D&D rules, you know what I mean? We were doing your Godstein thing, but it was Brownstein, and it was just crazy fun. But that goes back to my original point. Like, can a game master do that these days? You know what I mean? Because there's no like rule system to follow. It's just this general idea, and then use your own judgment and make it work. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, I'm actually working on a hard-coded rule system for the Godstein, which I'm renaming to Divine Council because it is its own thing now.
Yeah.
You can find this on my blog a little bit. You can't find the rule set on my blog, but you
Okay.
can find notes on the playtest because I just did the playtest because,
Oh, cool.
boy, I just did Divine Council 2 or Godstein 2, except like this time it was very hard-coded rules, and it was like a straight up month-long diplomacy game. And oh boy, that was that was hectic. People have never had so much fun in my Discord server though. They were on all the time. They were like,
that's cool,
making deals with each other the whole time. It was awesome. We had like we had like a big public like scandal where the halflings caused a world war by settling in the wrong place, and everybody was like on someone's side. It was crazy. Anyway, I am working on a hard-coded rule set for that. It is losing something in the transition though to a hard rule set because
Uh-huh.
because there are certain things like players were like, well, I want to do this. And I'm like, man, that's really not within the rules, but perhaps I should add it.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I'm kind of working on it right now because I had the full rule set typed out. My
Uh-huh.
players all read it. We did it, and there were some things that worked very well, some things that worked better than expected,
Yeah.
and then a few rules that I was like, this just doesn't feel right. So I have to
Hmm.
figure those out. Someone
How are
asked when it will come out.
uh,
I don't know yet. I've never published anything before aside from like stuff on my blog. So I'm
mhm.
like one person working on it. I have a lot like it's all typed out, and probably what I'll do is I'll release like a beta version
Mhm.
first because I'm not 100% confident it's right yet, and I'm trying to figure out like the kinks and stuff. So um, but anyway, we were
Okay.
talking about like this is an ambitious game, and not just like the
Mhm.
Godstein, which if anybody in the chat doesn't know, because I saw like a couple people in the chat like questioning what this is. It's a method of world building where players create the pantheon and play the gods in the setting, and like
Mhm.
sort of do this sort of group collaboration on this is the history of the world. This is where I'm building my stuff while I'm attacking your stuff. Well, they get in fights over it and stuff. But it basically makes the history of the world and gives you like unique lore for your campaign that all the players had a hand in making. And the big advantage of it is like it gives people real buy-in to the world and allows you to run something that's much more world focused than character focused. And we covered it in another stream, so I don't want to like rehash everything
Yeah.
on Luke's
No,
channel. I know he
yeah.
doesn't want that.
No, but
But
but but I think it's
mhm.
important to give the idea. But if you want to know more about Godstein Games, then in the description of this video, there's a link to Harmony's Substack where you can read about it. We have a live stream that I did with her a couple months back, but I also have a video out there that I published 2 or 3 weeks ago about Godstein as well. It's not in the title, it's not in the thumbnail, because if I put that in the title or thumbnail, no one would watch it. I had to make it some like snazzy. This is the what did I call that video? I have to play these YouTube games or
I
people
don't
won't watch the
remember.
videos. I called it the best D&D campaign ever. That's in the thumbnail. And then the title says this new way to play D&D changes everything. Okay, so if you
No,
want,
it was very complimentary, but
well, I mean, it changed it. I mean, I had never played that way before, and when I played that way for the first time, I was like, "Holy crap, this is amazing!" And but you know what? The number one comment, I'm probably exaggerating, but the number one comment that I got on that video was, "This isn't a new way to play. We've been playing this way since the '70s," and it's like,
it's
but
it's
it is,
interesting because people tell me that, but
yeah.
like I don't. First of all, I don't see play reports about it,
Mhm.
and a lot of times when they say, "Well, there are already games like this," they'll show me Microscope, they'll show
Yeah,
me
people were mentioning that one.
the
Yeah.
Immortal campaign
Yep.
book
Yep.
from like I think that's second edition,
Yeah.
and and the thing is, they're completely different things from what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I used some of the Immortal campaign book. I read through it when I was crafting rules, but it's a completely different premise. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm not,
So, so
I don't
uh,
know.
So
Oh, it's
either
okay.
there's one of two
It's
things
not
that
second
are
edition. Hmm.
there's one of two things that's happening then. One, they didn't watch the video. They watched like the first however seconds of it and were like, this is already here. Da, 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 da. Or they're just trolling and just being friendly to the algorithm.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I first started posting about my campaign on Twitter,
Hmm.
and about the timekeeping and the how I was having my players play as gods and we were creating the lore together. I got so many comments about this isn't going to work. This
Oh,
is stupid.
yeah.
That like nobody used this timekeeping method.
Hmm.
That this is like not a thing that people do and it's
Yeah.
not going to work for you. And I got so many comments like that, but then it kind of did. Like so it's very weird, and it's not the Godstein stuff. It's more the timekeeping stuff. It's very weird that like I used to get comments about how it
Your
doesn't work. Nobody uses
your
it.
camera just cut out. You got some wires loose or something
Uh-oh.
probably.
What happened?
Camera's gone and your audio is getting weird.
All right, one sec. I'm gonna have to refresh. I don't know what happened there.
All right. Well, it's going to be upon me to entertain all of these people. I feel really put on the spot now. Oh, Crazy Smurf is bringing up the Pinkertons. What does the Pinkertons have to do with what we're talking about? Oh, the Pinkertons have come for Harmony. That means they're probably here for me too. Who sent the Pinkertons? This. Oh, you know what? What's the title of my live stream? Maybe Wizards of the Coast is sending the Pinkertons after us. D&D has lost its way. The end of an era. Oh yeah, we're totally getting the Pinkertons after us.
My camera is being used by another app, and I don't know what app is using my camera.
Oh dear, Harmony's computer's fighting her. Wow.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to restart. You gotta fill time.
There's a Pinkerton. Yeah, go ahead. Do what you gotta do. I'll fill time. There is not a Pinkerton behind me, by the way. So. Reactionary Principle Gaming says, we got the same comment when you say you can stay in character the whole session, or that you can run a gamer without prep. People would say it wouldn't work. Then we did it. It's online. Oh yeah, you could do that. I could stay in character, and I have stayed in character pretty much an entire game, and it works. And you can run a game without prep. I would argue that the game that I ran when we had our Divine Council that I was talking about just a little bit ago, I didn't prep for that game session. There was nothing for me to prep. Like, I didn't know what the players were going to do as part of the Divine Council. They were deities. They could do anything. They weren't going on an adventure or a quest. They could do anything in the game world. I knew how to run the Divine Council, but that was pretty much it. So a 4-hour game session was improvising everything the entire time based upon player input. You know, that was what we had to do. So I've for sure done that before. I would, if you're talking about a regular adventure like a dungeon or something like that, I suppose I would probably prefer not to have to improvise that. Although I remember I did an experiment years ago where I planned like almost nothing, and then I improvised almost everything. And I did it recently too, about a year ago or so. It's not my preference. It can be done, but it is not the best game, at least for me. My games are much better. If I'm running an adventure, they're much better if I prepped for it. I've always said you can have bad picture with super crisp audio. You can carry on. Yeah, but her audio was cutting out too. Her audio was like going.
I am having some technical issues still.
Yeah.
How did starting not fix this?
Will just restarting your computer and then rejoining the Zoom call, will that work? Would that help, you think?
That's what I just did.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, okay.
Because my camera is in use by other apps, but it's not.
What's my opinion? Yeah, you just keep working. I'm gonna keep talking with the chat. What's my opinion on high level play? Oh, I can see your face.
I figured it out.
What was it?
Oh.
For some reason, Zoom defaulted my mic and camera to the ones embedded in my computer.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't know why it would do that. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, she's back. Somebody asked my opinion on high level play while you're regathering your senses. High level play sucks. Every time, I'm talking specifically about D&D 5th edition. Every time we've gotten past, say, level 14 or level 15, the game just gets. I would rather not play the game. It just gets dumb. Spells overpowered, break stuff. Characters can. I don't know, dude. It's like I constantly have to like say no to things, otherwise it would break the game or something. You know, it's like, no, I know, but I'm sorry, you can't do that because I don't know. And if I just let them roll with it, I don't know. If I let them roll with it, then you can have boss confrontations that just get demolished in like half a round, or if I beef the bosses and make them really challenging, then combat takes 4 hours or something. It's just like D&D was 5th edition. It wasn't really made. The rule set wasn't made to accommodate high level play. It just wasn't. It falls apart in so many ways. I think it's interesting that many games tend to stop around level 12. That's been what I've kind of heard, and I suspect that has to do with game groups falling apart because they can't stay together that long. But I wonder if part of it too modules are almost never designed past level 12, and but I wonder if part of it is that it's just not that fun at high levels, or the game master is like, no, I'm not running a high level game. Screw that crap. I'm done. I don't know, but it's interesting. But I don't like high level play.
Yeah, I think really the adventuring levels are from like 1 to 10. And after like somewhere around level 10, the game
Mm,
sort of falls apart, which is why I think that characters post level 10 should be like patrons. They should be acting in the world kind of as a separate agent from a
mm,
party because they have no need of like an adventuring party anymore. They're probably one of the
yeah.
most powerful people in the world.
Hmm.
Like they should
Sure.
probably be your Elminsters or whatever in your
Yeah,
campaign
and it
at
feels like
that
that.
point.
And if you're going to do that, I feel like you would just
Mhm.
go to using a brown side methodology for running characters at that level or something. Because they're not going
Yeah.
on
So
adventures anymore in the traditional sense. You know.
right. I think at like a certain point you want to like retire characters and have them work as agents in the world. Like,
Yeah.
you know what system does that really, really well?
No.
Adventure Conquers King system.
Oh. Oh. Wait. Wait. That's the.
Acts 2. Acts
Yeah.
2
Yeah. Uh
is
huh.
really, really good for that.
Oh,
They
okay.
have like full detailed rules on like how to run a kingdom, like
Yeah.
what happens if your people revolt, things like that. I really like that system for that, and I actually take a lot from it for
Is
my high level games.
is that a rules light, medium, or heavy system?
No, 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 no. Okay, so I think it is a very rules heavy system.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
I think really when it comes down to it, uh, Shadow Dark is the spiritual successor to to Zero E, to
Mm.
the
Mm-hmm.
first
Yeah.
very simple books,
Yeah.
and Axe is like sort of a spiritual successor to AD&D.
Yeah. I
At a
can.
certain point, that's the easiest way to explain it. People say Shadow
Yeah.
Dark isn't exactly like the old books, but and that's true.
Yeah, but
But
it's close enough.
mhm.
It's close enough to have fun. Uh, it's interesting because most of my life, mostly all I've ever played is D&D. Until like I would say, I don't know, 8 something years ago. Then I started, or 10 years ago, I started playing other things. I can't keep track. But for like most of my like TTRPG life, it was always D&D, and it was just how it was. And it was only until within the last 5 ish so years or something, I started playing some of these rules light systems like Pirate Board, or obviously Shadow Dark, or what was it, Mothership, I think is the other one.
Mhm.
And holy crap, these rules light systems are the bomb. Like, it is amazing. It's so easy to create your characters. It's so easy to play. If you die, you create a new character in under 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a bunch of rules to look up to do something. You just say it. The game master asks for a simple roll. They adjudicate. They make simple rulings on the spot. It's amazing. It's amazing, and you can just the rules don't get in the way of fun. They don't get in the way of creativity. Like, I can't tell. And combat is so much faster because characters don't have this massive list of different things they could do to optimize their turns and work with others to optimize. It's like, it's amazing how much faster paced and more fun and exhilarating rules light systems are. Now that I'm playing them, it's like I literally, I'm running 3 games right now. I'm sorry, I'm like monopolizing this little tangent, but I'm running 3 games right now, Harmony. One of them is D&D 5th edition 2024. One of them is Pathfinder 2, and then one of them is Shadow Dark. And I'm going to tell you, if I could cancel my other 2 games and convert them to Shadow Dark or something else, I would do it in a heartbeat. But like the D&D 5e1, we're playtesting my adventure Escape from the Fae that's in our Feybound Trickery of the Wilds Kickstarter. So we're playtesting it. So it's like I kind of got to do that, And then the Pathfinder 2 one, like, where we want to finish the campaign, the story of the campaign before we just switch. We're actually gonna go to Call of Cthulhu for a little bit, at least a little bit. I'm gonna see. I've played Call of Cthulhu, and it's kind of fun for me as a player, but I'm not a very big exploration. That's not the pillar I really like. And Call of Cthulhu is heavy on exploration.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: as a game master, I'm okay running exploration. I just don't like it as a player. So I might actually like running Call of Cthulhu. We're gonna find out. But my point is this: if I could stop playing D&D 5e and Pathfinder 2 and play rules light system instead, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I have business reasons or personal reasons to not do so.
See, you and I are completely opposite in that. 'Cause I
Really?
really like my rules heavy systems. Yeah,
Oh, why?
I do. I like more rules.
Really?
Because it
Okay.
allows the players to plan ahead, right?
Okay.
Like they can say, okay, it's in the rules that I can do this, so I have a reasonable expectation that I'll be able to do this,
Yeah.
and I won't have to play Mother May I with the DM over it.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I really gravitate to rules heavy systems rather than rules light. That said, I have had a lot of fun with Shadow Dark. I know you
Yeah.
like Shadow Dark and you like
Uh,
are looking to explore like more domain centered play. Have you heard of Hell March?
I haven't. No.
Okay, my friend Alchemic Raker made this. It's on Drive Through RPG.
Okay.
It's called Hell March. It's mass combat rules for,
Uh-huh.
and it's like a chainmail clone
Okay.
for Shadow Dark. It's
Really?
yeah. He's done really well
Oh.
on it. Kelsey really likes it.
Oh.
I would recommend looking that up.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna look it up right now. Where's my? I need a tab. Give me a tab. All right. All right. What's it called?
Hell March. It's mass combat rules for Shadow Dark.
Hellmarch Shadow Dark. All right. Hold on a second. Let's go to.
I think it's 2 words, but I'm not 100%. Yeah, it's that one.
Hold on a second. Can I turn? Where's my? Oh, that doesn't matter. This top one, Hellmarch, right there.
Yep.
Okay. Hellmarch. Oh, you can get it in
Yeah.
hardcover too. Sweet. Alchemic Raker. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I will
He's,
check that out. Mass combat rules.
I'll say Alchemic Raker is probably one of the best voices in TTRPGs right now. That guy knows what he's talking about. He's good.
How long is this thing? How many
It's not
pages?
Um,
I mean, my opinion on mass
right.
combat rules is it's 32 pages. Okay, that's
Yeah.
not too horrible, I suppose.
No.
Because when I'm looking for a mass combat system, I want something very rules light. It's easy to use because my theory has always been mass combat comes up so generally speaking in most games, it comes up infrequently enough that every time you do have mass combat, you as the game master are going to have to brush up on the rules. Then you're going to have to re-explain the rules to your players who have to brush up on it. You know what I mean? No, the players aren't going to read the book. They're not going to read the book. So because there have been big Kickstarters that have given mass combat rules in like 200 pages or something. If you have a 200-page mass combat rules, it's never going to get used. You know, so you need like something that's rules light. Otherwise, it's worthless. It's taking up shelf space. You know.
Yeah,
So,
it's worth mentioning. I don't know if you structured your stream this way on purpose, but there are 2 of you on the screen, so I don't know if that's intentional.
Yeah, I gotta get rid of that. Where is that Brio? No, it's not supposed to be structured that way. I clicked the button. I screwed things up. All right, thank you though. Okay.
Yeah, I just saw it. Yeah,
We're
I just
way
noticed.
off. We're way off topic.
Yeah, sorry.
So we're talking. So our original premise of this live stream was D&D was designed as a war game, and that was like a contention. And we're saying that it has drifted far away from its wargaming roots. We defined what a war game was, and our definition of a war game is fairly broad. Okay. Now going back to the roots idea, then. So you were saying before that D&D was designed as a war game. You read a portion of the Dungeon Master Guide
that is the player's handbook.
Player's Handbook, and then post or pre-stream, you said something about the zero E white box set, where it was in that set that you were supposed to use chainmail, which is essentially a mass combat system and stuff. So let's dive into that and let's talk about the roots and how wargaming was used originally.
So originally, Dungeons and Dragons evolved out of wargaming. It was like I said before, rules for player characters to operate within wargaming campaigns. And I don't know the question. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just want to talk about how it was originally played.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I probably posed it in a very confusing way. But yeah, I just want to talk about the original roots and how people played it. You know?
Yeah. So people would have these big mass war game campaigns, and there were some people say you can't really role play in a war game campaign, but I think that's categorically false.
Yeah.
I think wargaming campaigns are the genesis of a lot of role playing.
Right.
But people would have these wargaming campaigns and create like very interesting worlds. And so the
Mhm.
original books were like a way to explore the wilderness as player characters in your setting, basically. And I
Mhm.
mean, it was just a 3-book set, and they were really short books. I actually would recommend. I'm going to recommend another thing now.
Okay.
I would recommend looking into White Box by the Basic Expert. It's like kind of an updated, modern, very readable translation of the 3 books in the 70s.
Okay.
It's free on Drive Through RPG. I'm not even trying to sell you anything there. It's called White Box by Basic Expert. But I mean, they're very, very simple, very rules light. Um, but basically, it's about exploring dungeoneering
Mm.
and essentially exploring the world that the players are fighting in, helping either
Mhm.
side. Like the idea with these sort of campaigns is that, like I said when I read the PHB here,
Mhm.
um, one week you'd have players working together to survive in the wilderness. The next week they might be fighting. Um,
Yeah.
so it's very differing week to week. Every week you're
Mhm.
playing a different game to advance the world,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah. When did that start to change, though? When did we see the trend from that to like what we have now? Was it sudden? Was there a curve? Like, what do you know about that?
I am not the biggest expert on this, and I'm not going to pretend to be.
Okay.
Um, so but I would say that so there was a game that came out in like the 70s. I was turned on to it by some of my friends that are in a group called the Bro SR. It was called Tunnels and Trolls.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And Tunnels and Trolls was a distillation of D&D that was down to like dungeoneering and exploration, and basically it was much more similar to the D&D we know today
Yeah.
than the D&D we know today was similar to the original books. So
Mm.
and I'm not going to say that was the turning point because I don't think it was. I think it was somewhere around second or third edition that things really changed. But see, the thing is, that's when the written text kind of changed to
Yeah.
favor just player characters and parties and stories.
Right.
And by the way, I don't even think third edition is bad. Like the art in third edition goes really hard and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
so I want to say it was somewhere around there. But the thing is, people have always been playing D&D like they play it today. I would venture to guess that if you went back to the 70s and found an average Dungeons and Dragons group or an AD&D
Mm-hmm.
group, whatever type you want to find, they would be playing a fairly similar game to what we play now. I believe it's more the text that has changed and not the average play group, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so there obviously were people that were playing it in this war game manner, right? Where there's massive battles and stuff, and you're developing factions and stuff like this. You're kind of doing almost like a Brownstein type thing. So you're kind of doing like the PC exploration on one hand, and then there's wargaming over there. So some groups are clearly doing that, right? But what we're kind of saying is that most groups were probably just playing what we would consider to be regular D&D, right? Like dungeon exploration, kill monsters, get treasure type of thing.
I think there were a couple different types of groups, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the average group was playing a grand war game campaign at the same time as they were playing with their player characters. I really
Yeah.
don't think that that's what the average D&D group was playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the average D&D group in the 70s were probably 19 years old,
Yeah.
playing in, mom's basement. Maybe that's even too old, maybe younger.
Mm-hmm.
And and see, these groups, they didn't have access to the internet.
Right.
So it wasn't easy to check rulings. If you had a question about the rules, you had to mail Gygax. Um, I mean,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so and I think that if you've ever read like the AD&D PHB, it's pretty dense.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can be hard to get through at points. It can
Uh-huh.
be difficult to understand his meaning, how these
Mm.
rules are supposed to function in tandem. Like, for example, the psionics rules are a little bit convoluted. The hand-to-hand combat rules are weird, and
Mm-hmm.
I could not explain the hand-to-hand combat rules for you right now. And I challenge people, like, do people know what segments are? Because the turns, it wasn't just your turn, my turn. It
Mm.
was first segment, second segment, third segment, right?
Yeah.
And if you cast a spell on the second segment, it might go off on the fourth segment.
I remember
So
stuff like this.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you had like and you had the delay there to
Hmm.
knock a spellcaster out of it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So it was not a simple game.
Right.
AD&D wasn't.
Mhm.
I think OD&D was much more simple, but
Yeah.
AD&D was not a simple game, and I don't think I think it's fair to say that the rules of AD&D got very convoluted and would differ from playgroup to
Oh,
playgroup.
for sure. I mean, by the way, and I have some of the older books too, and I've read through them in snippets and stuff, and I totally get what you're saying about like the rules were not written in a very clear way, so you could easily get groups all across the country with different interpretations of them playing in different ways because again, no internet, no way of knowing. You might not know anybody else who plays the game. You just bought it one day because the artwork looked cool and your mom was like whatever, okay. And then you're like go with your friends and you play it, and so you just start playing it however you interpret it to be played. And if we look at some of the early modules, all the modules, or at least the ones that I'm familiar with, were about dungeon exploration.
Yeah.
None of them were about like world building or wargaming on a massive scale, were they?
Um, that's actually a really good question, and I'm not sure if I can think of
Yeah.
a module about that. Now,
Mhm. I mean,
I know some people who took Keep on the Borderlands and like
yeah.
ran it in using one-to-one time,
Mm.
and they eventually got into like kind of an expanded all right, you guys own this keep, and like we're gonna expand the world now. You guys are obviously starting at higher level with domain play. Now, I am not 100% sure if there are modules for early games that incorporate domain play,
Hmm.
but that's a really good question. But I think
Yeah.
that the reason for that might be it's really hard to write a module about
Oh.
domain play because you
Oh
never know what
yeah.
players are going to do.
Oh yeah, you
Um,
can't. But I mean, you're totally right.
so
You can't really write a module about that because the module would just be like, here's the premise, one page, and then the rest of it's up to you. That's not going to sell anything. It's so
right.
like, but the interesting thing is that so if most of what you publish though, if the published examples of gameplay, the modules describe this type of gameplay, dungeon crawling, we'll call it. You know what I mean? And people don't have the internet, they can't watch actual plays, nobody, and then that's all they have. Like it's reasonable to assume that many groups are probably going to play that way. That's what they're going to think
Yeah.
the game is, and they're going to do that. They have no way of knowing that there's any different way to do it. That's the example they have, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is written in the core books that there is more to it. And actually, it's interesting. I've seen groups who would take the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Monster Manual, and the Player's Handbook,
Mm-hmm.
and just run based on those because the Dungeon Master's Guide has like all sorts of rules for generating dungeons and stuff and
Mm-hmm.
creating things, and they would just run based on those and see what sort of games that they would get.
Yeah.
Now, modules for largely have focused on dungeon exploration, but yeah, no, and I don't think there's anything wrong with those groups, by the way. Like it's just that that's what the modules focused on, and to be honest, like not having the ability to like Google how
Mm-hmm.
to incorporate domain play and to Keep on the Borderlands, like,
Yeah.
I mean, that makes it that makes it harder.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that as we discuss like the different ways groups play and whether that was the way it was designed or not, I think it's a very good point that it doesn't really matter how people were or are playing it. Like if you want to play a certain way, that's your prerogative. You know, if you don't, then you don't have to. So I think what I'm trying to say is we're not making like moral judgments on one style of play or another. We're just having the discussion of how was it originally played, what were its roots, and eventually we're going to probably segue after the break here into how it's played now and how it has has it lost the path? Has it fallen away? Or is it pretty much what it was before with some exceptions or something? So, but we are going to
Yeah.
head in. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna say we're gonna head in. We're gonna head into a little break. We're gonna go bio and stuff and get some more coffee. So we do have a giveaway going on, ladies and gentlemen. So there should be plenty of links in the chat where you can join the giveaway. You're gonna get $50. The winner will get $50 DM Lair store credit. We got a whole bunch of 5th edition D&D, Pathfinder 2 map packs, Foundry modules, and a bunch of cool stuff you can get on our store. If you win, you get $50. And we also have our next Kickstarter, Feybound, Trickery of the Wilds, is going to be launching fairly soonish. There's some links in the chat where you can learn more about it. And I'm also, so go follow it right now, but I'm also going to play you a video that talks more about it too, to like entice you to follow it. So we're going to take a break now, and we'll be back in just a little bit.
Hi, I'm the creator of Into the Fae, a popular adventure module for D&D 5e, and I've been working on its sequel for about a year and a half now. But I had a problem. I had this nagging doubt. You see, my team and I had written a 12-adventure module full of exciting twists and surprises, in addition to nearly 100 exciting, fresh Fae creatures. However, we kept asking ourselves, is this the best we can do? How can we make this the Fae-themed resource every dungeon master and player would demand to have in their collection? The answer was Feybound, Trickery of the Wilds, the biggest, baddest, Fae-themed resource for D&D 5e ever created. You see, we doubled down. We went all in. And we stuffed this book with everything DMs and players would need to bring the chaos, whimsy, and wilds of the Fae to life in their games. A sprawling Fae campaign setting, 6 vibrant new player races, 10 wildly creative subclasses, a treasure trove of magic items, dynamic Fae gameplay mechanics, over 100 twisted and unforgettable monsters, and Escape from the Fae, a level 5 to 11 adventure module featuring 12 full-length, story-rich adventures. Feybound's Trickery of the Wilds is now a project that I can be proud of. We're not leaving anything on the table with this one, and it launches soon on Kickstarter. Trust me, whether you dabble in the Fae or dive in head first, this is the D&D 5e resource you won't want to miss.
That was a short video. Yeah. You beat Luke back. That's why it went black. I have to have a longer video. Hey, Dungeon Craft. What's up, dude? How you doing, buddy? Thank you for $20, man. I'm gonna go buy a hamburger. Oh, baby. He says, hi, Luke and Harmony. You are the path. Oh. Yeah, you don't want to follow my path, man. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. Oh, dude, are you gonna be you're gonna be at Gen Con? Of course you are. You have to walk the aisles, man. All right, man. We'll see you at Gen Con, dude. That's coming up. That's like 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks from now, man. 2 weeks. We doubled down. We went all in. We tripled our workload. Well, I mean, some workloads were tripled. Yeah. I just assign my work to other people. Like, contract that, just hire that person to do that, pay that person to do that. That's how I do it. All right. And we're back. I'll go full stream. Whee! All right. We have fresh coffee, fresh bioed, ready to rock and roll.
You made coffee quick.
Oh, it was waiting for me.
Oh,
I just
nice.
I have a pot back there, literally.
Right.
Right over there.
I forgot everyone doesn't use those single serving machines.
Oh, I don't use those. Those are trash. Come on. You don't use those, do you? Did I just...
I mean,
Oh, you do.
I wouldn't say I'm insulted as much as inspired. So.
Oh, I don't like those. Like, one, they're way more expensive than just brewing normal coffee. Two, they're way more expensive than just brewing regular coffee.
Yeah,
And I'm
fair.
like, I'm not gonna spend the money on that. I mean, I have the money. I'm not spending it that way. So.
Well, when I want to treat myself, I go to Wawa anyway.
Yeah. Did you see my
$2
Did you see my Bucky's mug? Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, and I decided to be here anyway.
I know. Look at that. She had a chance to run, so she's not as loyal as she claims.
No
Did
one
you see
tell
Dungeon
Wawa.
Crafts in the channel? He gave us 20
Sponsor
bucks.
me, Wawa.
He gave us 20
Oh,
bucks.
nice.
Yeah, I'm taking it though.
Oh,
It's my 20 bucks. Sorry.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll negotiate a better deal next time.
Are you gonna be at Gen Con? Do you go to conventions at all?
I used to go to Gen Con every single year because I
Yeah.
lived up that way.
Okay.
But I live in Florida now, and so
Florida,
I don't
oof.
really make it up that way.
Florida.
Yeah.
All I remember of Florida is I used to twice I went to the Orlando area over the summer. My church had this like leadership training program where you would get a job and then you'd go to like church classes and crap like that. And I had a job in Orlando, Florida. 1 year I was I was a roofer. I worked sheet metal roofing. And one thing I learned in Florida, at least in the Orlando area, it rains almost every night. And it's
Yeah.
not usually a rain. It's like a thunderstorm rain. It's like serious rain.
Oh, yeah.
Almost every night. I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, it's good when you're a roofer because you can't work on the roof when it's raining. You have to go home. But it was kind of
Yep.
crazy.
Yep.
Come on,
I'm very
you gonna
aware
come
of this one.
So we're talking about the war game roots and stuff and how some people played it originally, but not everyone. My cat's just taking a sweet time. Here
I
we
apologize.
go.
Look at the cat. Pardon me 1 second.
The cat part of you. What happened? Okay. Anyway, we want to segue into. So we were talking about the original wargaming roots, and I want to segue into how it's played now, like how we generally see it played now. And I think we can probably agree if there was some segment of people that were playing it wargame style back in the day, there's a much smaller segment that does that now. I'm sure some people are, right? But not nearly as many.
Yeah. I guess I'm not interested in denigrating the game that people play now or telling people that they're playing wrong or anything like that because quite frankly, I enjoy the game that's being played. But when you look back at the old texts, it's like, where can I find this game?
Yeah.
This sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play this. So I've been kind of delving into like groups that are sort of experimenting with that style of game and trying to figure it out. Because what AD&D was it was like a mishmash of all sorts of different games. Like you had stuff that like not everything was just roll a d20 and see if you succeed.
Yeah.
There's like some weird stuff for psionics. There's a whole hand-to-hand system, and then you have like the implied like above the table like wargamey elements.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like completely different than what we have now. It's like just so many different weird things because like
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, like, it is hard to find someone who understands how hand-to-hand combat works in D&D because it's just so different, you know?
Yeah. We had
In
a comment.
AD&D.
Yeah.
5e, it's just the same.
So Michael in chat says it was the amateur game design era. A lot of things didn't work and were evolved past. So I wonder if that's part of it. You know, if because like right now, very few people play it in a Dominion style or a war game style, right?
Uh-huh.
So is part of it just that as the new editions came out, it just became more tightly defined as to what the game was, and that Dominion or war game style just wasn't in the books, and so people just didn't do it as much? Is that part of it?
I think the idea of moving past it and the idea that original designers of these things were amateurs and the idea that The stuff we have now is categorically better and more suited to play groups than what was around then. And I don't know if I'm putting words in this guy's mouth. I apologize if I am. But I think that idea is incorrect mostly. I think in some small areas things have evolved, and I think that, like, if you look at the difference between 5e and 2024, you can see like a bunch of like small improvements, small polishing things. I think it's fair to say that these games have gotten more polished over time, but
Yeah.
less weird. And I'm someone who likes weird games. I like knowing, like, I like when things are different, like different things you do in the game feel different, right? Um, and that's something you get with older editions that, like, you don't really get now, because now everything is just like a d20. You roll initiative, it's a d20. You roll a skill check, d20. You want to punch somebody in the face, d20. And it's just all the same, and that wasn't really the case back then. And so I would say that some things have gotten much more polished, but I think that some things that they did in the past are things that have been lost to time, that don't necessarily deserve to be lost to time. I think there's been a lot of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you definitely saw that in fourth edition. Like, there were a couple really good parts of fourth edition that I remember. Skill systems, or not, skill challenges, and minion rules, where minions have like 1 hit point. So they're a threat, but they're easy to kill. So there can be a lot of them. And yet all of that stuff just got tossed out because fourth edition was such a failure financially, generally speaking, that they're just like, throw it all out and just gone. And then they started from scratch for all intents and purposes.
Fourth edition's one I really need to play again, because when I played it, I like did not have a good time. But
Oh, I didn't either, and I'll tell you.
I can tell you why.
You go first. You tell your story, then I'll tell you my story.
I didn't have a good time with D&D fourth edition because the DM had hygiene issues, and I blame this on the game and my brain, and I can't separate it.
So he stank like bad. Was stank, right?
I had to quit the game.
Oh, dude, wouldn't anybody? Like, who would stick around if it was just Ricola? Yeah.
And I only played, this was like way back in the day. I hadn't actually tried my hand at DMing yet, but it was like, I quit the game. I decided for a while, I was like, maybe RPGs aren't for me, just based on that, which was very stupid, because it's like, obviously that has nothing to do with the game.
No, I mean, I go to conventions a lot. Yeah. And I can tell you that occasionally there's somebody that's got some stank on them, but it's not as common as, it's not that common.
And so people kept saying, well, yeah, 4E is really bad anyway. Just play 3.5. Because all my groups up until then have been like 3rd edition, right?
Yeah.
Or 3.5, some variation.
Yeah.
And people are just like, 4th edition is bad anyway. I'm like, okay, I didn't miss anything. Whatever. I didn't like it when I played it. I just don't like 4E. So, But a lot of people are saying now, hey, 4E had some really good stuff in it, and like everyone just says it's bad, and maybe we should like revisit this. And so now I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's something there. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm from Michigan. Okay. And most people know Detroit. Okay. Detroit, Michigan. All right. So it's not a good city, right? It's high crime, all the nice markers for not a good city. But there's one of two stances you can take regarding Detroit. There's the normal person stance of like, yeah, I don't like going to Detroit. That's high crime, bad city type of thing. But then there's the opposite, where somebody's like, I love Detroit, it's awesome, and they go hardcore all in. And I feel like that's the same thing that happens with 4th edition. Okay, either people are like, no, I don't like it, it sucks, it's garbage, or they're like, no, man, my friends and I, we played 4th edition and we had tons of fun. It was awesome and we really enjoyed it and we played it a long time. And so it's like, it's kind of like they take a lot of pride in it, and it's cool to say you like 4th edition because you're like the deviant or whatever you want to call it, that's different than the crowd or something. I don't know, but it seems like that's what I tend to see about fourth edition. Either you love it and you're like, oh yeah, or you're like, that sucks. It's like these extremes. You know.
Fourth edition is the Detroit of Dungeons and Dragons. You
Yeah.
heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly. So, or the Flint. Flint's another iconic Michigan city that actually Flint's probably worse than Detroit if you want to get technical. And most people know about Flint because we had the whole water problem in Flint, where it's like they got lead in the water. You know why there was lead in the water? A lot of cities have lead pipes. The reason that it was an actual problem is that there was a chemical that got into the water that caused the lead pipes to actually, the lead to come out in the water. Because a lot of places have lead pipes. It's not usually a problem unless the lead actually gets in the water. And there was apparently a chemical that got in there that is what made the lead disperse into the water or something. Because they've had lead pipes for like ever, and there was never a problem until there was some sort of chemical. I was listening onto a news or something, and that's what actually caused the problem. But I don't even know if most of the nationwide news got that technical. It was all just like crisis in Flint, the water poisoning problem or something. I don't know, whatever. So anyway,
I see.
Anyway, where were we going? Okay, so fourth edition. So where were we talking about? That was a tangent.
I think we were talking about exactly where it was that D&D diverged into
yes.
what it is now.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think people have been playing like this since the beginning. I do. I believe people when they say, yeah, I played in a game with the OGs and we didn't use all these rules. I believe that. I also believe that the original group, like I'm talking Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson and the Blackmore group, I believe them to have been very experimental people. I would venture to guess that no two games they ran had the exact same rule set without any changes.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I do think the published rules matter, but I believe the accounts that say they didn't necessarily play that way. So I think people have been playing roughly like they play now from the beginning. A lot of people have, maybe not everybody, but many. And it kind of, the game itself evolved along the way somewhere to kind of assume that we were focusing on a more party-centered game rather than a world-centered game.
Yeah.
Now, and it's kind of been up to, I guess, people to dig into the old texts and find, the clues to what was the original game described as and how can we replicate that game today, because back when they originally made the game they didn't have tools like Discord or something which by the way, even for real life games, I like Discord for keeping my information organized. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But they didn't have like these communication tools we use now, or really a lot of the tools that we play with now. So it's I can imagine running a like 20 player world centered game that meets like a couple times a week with different groups operating in the same world. That would have been very, very difficult in a world without the internet.
And more challenging for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I've seen this I've seen this comment a couple times in chat now, where it's been stated that it started to change when Wizards of the Coast took over D&D. Now, Wizards of the Coast took over for third edition, right? So back still second edition was TSR, and then we had Wizards of the Coast take over. And it's interesting because you and I were chatting before the stream, and we made the observation that the rules at least seem to transition, because I know in second edition there were some like Wargaming Dominion type stuff, but then in third edition it really became really focused. I mean, it was always kind of focused on party centric, but it really tightened down on that in like the third edition forward, it seems like, so there might be some truth in that when Wizards of the Coast took over, but that might just be an evolution of the game and coincidence as opposed to cause and effect. I'm just spitballing here, but I don't know that was necessarily the catalyst.
Yeah, don't know either. I don't know. I'm not as anti WotC as a lot of people I kind of orbit around online are.
Hmm.
Um,
It's
I,
cool
I
to
I
be
kind of
anti-Watsy. It's cool though.
huh?
It's cool to be anti-Watsy.
Yeah, I think especially recently they've made a lot of missteps, but
Yeah.
I can't say that I have that I know enough about what they were doing with the game back then. I played third edition fairly extensively, but
Hmm.
I'll be honest, my experience with the game, I played first edition and AD&D. I played the original and I played third edition. I never really delved into second edition, so I don't
Yeah.
really know the full story on that. So I'm gonna avoid
Mm.
commenting and saying it was WotC because I have never played second edition.
Yeah. I
So
started off playing second edition. But I can't tell you almost anything about it because I don't remember. It was so long ago. My memory sucks. Like I don't even remember much. No, I do remember a lot about 3.5 because I played that a lot, especially computer games. So I know a lot about 3.5, and then obviously fifth edition. But second edition, I don't remember a whole lot about that. That was back when I was in high school and college.
mhm.
That was my second edition days. And even when I was in college, fourth edition, third edition had come out, but I just kept with second edition because I'm not going to buy new books, you know.
Right.
So
And I kind of wonder, and I think this is actually related to the discussion here, because we are experiencing that again. We're going from fifth edition to what's it called? 2024, 5.5, sixth. I'm not even 100% sure of
it's
the name they went with,
it's D and D
because it's gonna
2000.
call so many different
I
things.
think it's just D and D 2024, D and D
They
fifth
didn't
edition 2024.
they didn't think that name would feel dated like next year. I don't know.
They're
Um,
well, they I don't know. I think
yeah.
their decision making on the name of it was kind of a struggle bus. It was like a combination of short bus and struggle bus. It was both buses kind of together with their naming of this edition. So I mean I call it 2024 and 2020, 2014, 2024. That's how I do it because but like yeah, it's a mess. That's an
Yeah.
entire video rant right there. But what were you trying to say?
I was trying to say, I think we're seeing this again. We're seeing another kind of paradigm shift right now
Uh,
because everybody played 5e. It
yeah,
was everywhere. We had Critical Role and we had COVID, and both of those
yeah,
things just blew up 5e because people
yep,
didn't have anything else to do. They were confined to their house. They had
yep.
like, well, I have online friends and better time than ever to learn D&D, right? And
Hmm.
so everybody was playing 5e. But so the audience like massively expanded here in
Yep.
a way that I don't think it's done before. I don't think you can find another point in the history of Dungeons and
Oh
Dragons
no, I don't
where the
think so.
audience expanded that much in such a short time.
It's hard
And
to know for
so,
sure because I don't know if they
yeah,
have data, but I would bet my next paycheck on that. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where I am on that.
Hmm.
And so you have like all these people playing 5e, and so now they're dropping in the process of dropping, I think, because I don't think the monster manual is out. Is the monster manual out? I don't
Yeah, it
know.
is.
It is? Okay.
Yep.
Um,
It came out in February, I think,
No way.
of
Am I that
2025.
behind? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
just kidding. All right, the monster manual's
I
out.
have
Just
it on
kidding.
my
They just dropped.
I have it on my shelf. It's definitely out. Yeah.
Okay. But they just dropped like this new edition now.
Uh-huh.
And it's interesting to see how many people are switching to it because some are, but it doesn't
Hmm.
really appear that enough people
No.
are. I went to my local game shop last week and it was on D&D night and
Yeah.
I was actually just picking up something,
Yeah.
but it was D&D night and like you know what people are playing? People are playing 5e,
Hmm.
2014 5e.
Right.
And there was a Shadow Dark table.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um
I believe it.
there
I recently joined a D&D game on Start Playing, and as a player, and it's there that game master was running 2014, and she explained why, and she basically was just kind of like, 2014, 2024, they fixed some things, they screwed other things up, some things that should have been fixed weren't fixed, and she's like, it's just a hot mess, so I'm not messing with that garbage. We're just using 2014. So but
yeah.
I also did Zach. If Zach is still here, We did. He is Goliath Cleric. We didn't we do a poll? Was it a poll on my YouTube channel? We did a poll somewhere where we asked people which version they were using or something like that. And I forget what the exact percentages were, but we had an overwhelming number of people because we were literally, we have a Kickstarter coming up, Feybound Trickery of the Wilds, and we were trying to decide whether it's this Kickstarter is compatible with both 2014 and 2024. But here's the thing. The two versions are different enough that you can't just make the resource work for both without subtle changes for one or the other, right? And so either you make the book primarily compatible with 2014, and then there are like sidebars that tell you how to tweak it for 2024, or you make it primarily compatible with 2024 with sidebars that tell you how to change things if you're running it for 2014 rules. You have to do that. If you don't, it's not compatible. Like, they've changed enough things with power creep and different things. You have to do something like that to actually make it fully compatible. So if you got a Kickstarter or a book that didn't do that and they say it's compatible, they probably made it before the rules were released, and they found out afterwards that, oh, they made big changes to something. So anyway, but that's another topic. So what I'm getting at is this. We had to decide whether, so the poll is about 2/3 of people said they were sticking with 2014. And then about 1/3 of people were going with 2024. So we did that poll because our next Kickstarter it's compatible with both, but it's written to be compatible primarily with 2014. And then there are sidebars that will tell you the changes you need to make if you're running it for 2024. And so, because we were like, what should we publish it as? Like, how should we do this? And so we're like, well, let's find out how people are playing the game. And based on how people are playing the game is going to determine how we publish the book, So anyway, I don't know where we got that topic, but
well, I think it's relevant to the discussion because we're talking about how D&D has lost its way. So it's kind of the modern problem right now because we had this explosion of popularity in for the 2014 edition, and it's actually a very strange situation we're in now where we had everybody playing 2014, and not everybody. There were odd groups. There were other RPGs around. There were some Pathfinder groups. There were, but by and large, the RPG market was dominated by one game for like, I don't know how long, like 7 or 8 years. I'm gonna say that might be wrong. I don't know. I made that number up, but so we had that, and then suddenly when there's another branch off of this game, suddenly there's not one game dominating the RPG market anymore, because with D&D 2024, the implied it's implicit that Wizards of the Coast is no longer going to be releasing material for 5e 2014, right?
Yeah.
Like, you assume they're going to be releasing material for their new edition. So what do the 2014 players do? Some of them are going on to 2024. Some of them are just sticking with what they have because, let's be honest, there's enough material, third party and homebrew stuff to run forever on that.
Absolutely.
But also you have people that are going to Shadowdark, Adventure Conquers King system. All sorts of other systems are popping up. And so, it's kind of a weird situation, especially for creators, because a lot of creators, like I believe you, have kind of risen off the popularity of 2014. And I don't say this to like insult you or anything.
Oh, I'm insulted. I'm insulted.
No, okay. We've like risen off the popularity of 2014, and it's like, okay, so where do people go from here? You have to kind of follow the audience, right?
Yeah.
So,
I agree. Like, it does present a unique, a challenging situation because the audience is diverging now, right? So like, people are leaving 5th edition to go play Shadowdark in droves, right? People are going to be leaving, they are leaving to play DC 20. They're leaving to play Pathfinder 2, or they're leaving to play you name the game system. And so as a person who publishes content, you have to say, okay, am I going to publish content for this one system, even though my potential customer base is probably getting smaller and a lot of my established customers are going to different systems? Or am I going to start publishing for multiple systems? and increase my workload exponentially? You know what I mean? Like, that's a challenging question. And you have to, you can't publish for everything. You know, it's so much extra work. You know, like right now we have a monthly publication, Lair magazine, that's for both 5th edition and Pathfinder 2. And I got to tell you, like, it doubled our workload to publish for both 5th edition and Pathfinder 2. You would think that if you already wrote it for 5th edition, all you got to do is translate it to Pathfinder 2, and it shouldn't double your workload. It doubles our workload, right? But we don't have doubles the sales. We don't. Our sales for 5th edition are like this. Pathfinder 2, it's down here. So we doubled our workload, and we did not get double the revenue. And so it's like, that's good call right there, Luke. You know. So, but and that's if you're in publishing, right? That's what happens. And then the other interesting thing, but we talked about how the audience, like, for a while, D&D 5th edition was dominating, and then all of a sudden people are branching out, and I think the honest truth of it is that Wizards of the Coast did that to themselves, because it was the OGL that caused people in droves to get pissed with WotC.
Yep.
And to go try other systems, right? I remember after the OGL broke, my home group here came in, and like every single player was like, oh, I'm buying some more books, I'm getting different game systems, and a lot of them are still playing D&D. But that's what caused so many people to get exposed to different systems. So like, we're talking about the rise of Shadowdark and the rise of all these other game systems. Wizards of the Coast did this to themselves. They in a large way, because they were trying to be greedy and they were trying to corner the market and basically put everyone out of business, it totally backfired. And now other companies, the very people they were trying to put out of business, literally, are now doing really well. You know what I mean? Like Shadowdark. Look at Shadowdark's last Kickstarter. DC 20 made like, what was it, 3 million or something? They're going bonkers. You know, And Wizards of the Coast is like, they should know. They should know that it's their own fault. They started that whole thing, and I think it's a good thing. You know what I mean? But it's their own fault. And it makes me a little happy in a way, because it's like, if you do something super sleazy, there should be consequences, and I think they're seeing that. You know.
Absolutely. You talked about why Shadowdark got popular there. Well, do you know when Shadowdark's original Kickstarter run was?
Right when the
Right
OGL
as
was breaking. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Shadowdark just got popular off luck. I would never say that. I actually really like Kelsey. She works her butt off for that game.
She's the only one that she's a one-man crew. Like literally, like if you look at the credits of Shadowdark, Kelsey writing, layout, everything, and then the artists who make the artwork. You know what I mean? It's all her. It's all her. She's doing it all. And if you look at D&D 5th edition credits, it's like 100 people. It's like, okay, do you need 100 people to make a good book? Apparently not. You know. But anyway, continue. Sorry.
No. Kelsey works her butt off for that game, and she's fantastic. I had the pleasure of having her on my YouTube channel once. It was cool. She's just awesome. Yeah. Sweet. All around. But I mean, part of it was like, it kind of dropped at like the luckiest time imaginable for them.
It was great timing.
But I mean, also she deserves her success here, but still,
for sure.
Wizards of the Coast is responsible for Shadowdark's success partially.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great game system. It's an amazing game system, right? So you can't take away from that. But what made it like sell super well was the timing of the release. You cannot overlook how that affected it. You know, it was the people were pissed with Wizards and they were looking for new stuff. And right there's a Kickstarter. And but here's the thing, getting that, so that got eyeballs on it. But eyeballs on something does not make it sell. It has to be a good product. So if you can get eyeballs on it and it's a good product, that's when you have something special happen. You know, so like if you look at her Kickstarter page and the artwork and everything, she knocked it out of the park. And so like, I think the OGL got eyeballs on it, and then the good design and how it was positioned and everything is, people were like, yes, this is it, let's do it. You know, and that did really well. And now the interesting thing is that her second Kickstarter did even better than the first, and usually the core books sell the best. So that tells you that there is a growing following it's growing a lot of the people that play Shadowdark. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Absolutely. It is. And so I do think that this is like part of a, it's a weird dichotomy dichotomy, I guess that's the word, that we're watching now with Wizards of the Coast, because I don't know if the average person thinks that Dungeons and Dragons as a franchise is in a good place, or it is on the or it is on the incline.
It's going
I
down.
think it is fair to say that the average gamer probably believes Dungeons and Dragons is currently on the decline.
Oh, it's on the decline. It's gonna. I think it's gonna continue declining. Well, look at this. So check this out. The two. So Mike Mearls left the company. I think he was technically part of the mass firings they did. The Merry Christmas firings that they did.
Yeah.
So he left the company, and he's an awesome guy. I've met him several times. I played in a game with him as he was the game master. He is the nicest, awesomest person, and just really cool guy. He works for Cassium now, and so Mike Mearls is awesome. But he apparently, like, Wizards didn't like him. He got himself in trouble or doing some. It was some Twitter horse crap. It was the mob got all upset about some stupid bull crap, and so but then he was like one of the big guys, the two lead designers or whatever, and the other one was Jeremy Crawford, right? And then Chris Perkins was also pretty important, but he wasn't like the. It was Mike Rose and Jeremy Crawford who were the two core guys for a while.
Yeah.
Chris Perkins rose up there too. He had been there for a long time and rose up as well in the ranks. But like recently, both Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford left to go work for Darrington Press, Daggerheart. You know what I mean? And when you see two huge designers like that leave, dude, they had to have been making a couple $100. They must have been making really good money. You know what I mean? I would imagine if they weren't, there's something wrong. But to leave a job like that, you either you have vibes that you're probably going to get fired or laid off next because you're making too much money and the company is struggling, or there's a reason you leave. When you have really good positions like that, there's a reason you leave. And I am inclined to believe that they probably knew there was going to be some shakeups and firings. There's almost assuredly going to be Merry Christmas firings in Hasbro, would be my guess. If we don't have some midsummer ones or something. So they probably saw writing on the wall, would be my guess, and got out of there while the get was good. So, but anyway, you were on the thread too.
I think you're probably right on that. It's hard to speculate because we don't know the
it's
inner
hard.
workings of Hasbro. It's not like public information or anything. So I don't really have much to add there on speculation. I think you're probably exactly correct. Hard to say for sure. I think the only thing I want to correct here is Mike Mearls, I don't believe was fired in the Merry Christmas firings.
wasn't?
I believe he left somewhere before the Tasha's book was released. But
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that. I'm just
Okay.
I'm remembering this, and I think because I used to say, you know, Mike Mearls 5e, post Mike Mearls 5e. That's kind of where I draw the line in my games, because like I enjoy the books he worked on.
Yeah.
But then like there was a point in 5e, and I think it was around Tasha's a little bit before, where you can kind of notice that their mechanics guy is not there anymore. And oh boy, do I think that was Mike Mearls.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tasha's, I remember there was some stuff in Tasha's that was just wildly unbalanced, overpowered mostly. You know. Yeah. But somebody in chat said that he was, while he was still at Wizards, he was transferred to work on Magic the Gathering at some point. And
okay, that makes sense. So he was moved off D&D and then he was fired. And then,
yeah,
okay, we're both right.
Because I'm pretty sure that I read the list of the Merry Christmas firings, and I'm pretty sure I saw his name on that list. But he
was not working on D&D at the time then.
Yeah, he got into one of these mob Twitter scandals where I think there was a person that people didn't like for some reason, and he was like supporting them or something, and then so like their ire for that person was transferred to him. And then the mob on Twitter was all upset. And so because Wizards of the Coast cares a lot about social media, which is silly because those people are crazy, like he got in trouble or something, and then he was kind of like not fired, but like, yeah, we got to kind of hide you now or something. I don't know. I don't know the details.
Well,
It sounded like somebody explained it to me once. And I'm like, that sounds like a bunch of political bullcrap is what that is right there.
yeah.
They had to they basically had to do like the sacrificial offering to like appease the mob. It's like horse crap. Just like shoot the mob. Don't appease them. That mob will never be happy. So whatever.
Well, I'm happy to say Merles follows me on Twitter and Substack, so I
There you
hope not to
go.
disappoint and get him in trouble again.
Nice. Well, he works at
It
Casa
wasn't me.
now. He works at
Oh,
Casa
yeah?
now, so doing like Call of Cthulhu. Well, I assume he works on Call of Cthulhu. He might work on where they got Rune Quest 2 over there, and I think they have one
I
other
don't
IP.
I see. I
But
follow his tweets and
yeah.
sometimes his blog, but like I don't,
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly what he's working on right now. But I do think that, and people give him, I think, a lot of I don't a lot of undeserved flack sometimes
Mhm.
because Mike Merles does seem like a really nice guy, and also I think a lot of his stuff he puts online are more musings and like
Mhm.
brainstorming than like
Yeah.
actual declarations of this is the right way to play.
Oh yeah, that's I've
And
some
when you do
yeah.
that, when you muse
Uh-huh.
and brainstorm a
Yeah.
lot on Twitter, you're bound to have some bad takes. I would know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's gonna
so,
happen for
but
sure.
yeah, I think losing him was actually really detrimental for 5e, I want to say.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he was one of the best guys they had.
Yep. I think that's true for sure. Because like I haven't after Tasha's I don't think I bought any of the books. I just started to kind of get like I don't know. None of this stuff is super interesting anymore, and they started to come out with some products that were just kind of like where I'm just like I'm looking at the cover, I'm reading the product, and I'm just like, you're not. I am not your target audience. You were trying to go after somebody else with this book because I am not the guy who wants this book. And so I haven't bought a product. I mean, I have the 2024 core rule books, but besides that, I haven't bought anything from Wizards since the OGL pretty much. I just kind of, or before then, I just stopped buying their stuff because it no longer interests me anymore. I'm not going to use it. So,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really buy stuff from Wizards anymore either. Like I read a little bit of the SRD or the free portion of the I don't know if it was SRD, but the free portion of the 2024 books. But I sort of stopped reading them at a point because the thing I really hated, the big
mm,
transitional thing that bothered me was the fact that they were standardizing all of the classes to get subclasses at level 3, which was
mhm,
something very counter to what in my mind D&D should be. If you look at the older
uh-huh,
editions, like
yeah,
every class is different.
mhm,
Like, and I
yeah,
mean plays differently. I mean like there are some races that can't play certain classes.
mhm,
Like
yeah,
elves are capped at like I think I want to say 7 levels of
yeah,
cleric
uh-huh,
or something like
yeah,
that.
absolutely,
Like there are all sorts of like you can't even play any class. You roll your stats and then
hmm
like you may not even be able to play the class you want. And like
right,
they're so they play so differently.
yeah,
Each
hmm
class has its own like mechanics, right?
right,
And now it's like they're moving more towards a system where everything is the same.
it's homogenous, yeah,
Everybody's got to be
uh-huh,
the same power.
yeah,
If
wow.
anybody is stronger than anyone else, that's bad. That's unbalanced.
Well,
But like,
but they're
hmm
that's pushing. Okay, look at well, first of all, that
yeah,
doesn't surprise me because Wizards of the Coast hired a lot of Paizo's game designers. So a lot of Paizo's game designers are at Wizards of the Coast now, and the ones that worked on Pathfinder 2. And if you look at Pathfinder 2, it is very rules tight. The rules are super tight. They're so tight that nothing's exciting, in my opinion. Spells aren't exciting, mechanics aren't exciting, magic items aren't exciting because everything is so mathematically balanced that nothing excites you. It's one of those game systems where, if you're not familiar, or anybody in the audience isn't familiar, where you as you progress in levels, the dungeon master is pretty much required to give you certain amounts and types of magic items and loot so that your character can keep up with the power curve, right? But every single piece of magic item in and of itself is very underwhelming usually. Well, things that increase your to hit and your to damage on weapons, the runes, those are pretty cool. But everything else is just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is not exciting. And spells are usually underwhelming. Most spells, so like when I'm a game master for Pathfinder 2. When I'm casting spells as a monster, usually I've tried casting spells and spells are so subpar. It's usually better just to attack with a physical attack because spells just underwhelm. They're just meh. But they've tried to balance it so well, and I can see the influence of that way of thinking in D&D 5th edition 2024, right? With some of the changes they made with the weapon specialization changes, I can see that Pathfinder 2 game design thought process bleeding over. It's because a lot of those same game designers are at Wizards of the Coast now, and that is not the direction I want to see the game go, because I played Pathfinder 2 for a little over a year now, almost a year and a half probably, and I'm over it. There's nothing exciting about it because everything is so like mechanically like balanced. Nothing is exciting. It's easy to game master. It's way easier to game master Pathfinder 2 than D&D 5th edition in a lot of ways. But it's not exciting. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think it might be some of the Pathfinder influence creeping in, but I also think that the transition, the new stuff is really suffering from like what I think some people call the gray goo theory, which is their audience massively expanded during 5e due to COVID and Critical Role are the two things, and maybe Stranger Things would be a third reason. So those three factors, right? And then suddenly when they're making their new edition, their old edition, their 5th edition 2014 was not made with a massive mainstream general audience in mind. It kind of still catered to, okay, we expect that you are a nerd if you are playing this, right? We expect you understand like some basic game design concepts. We expect you have played like games before. Now 5e is very approachable compared to 3.5. But
sure.
there was still some expectation that you're a D&D player, like you know what that means. But yeah. I do think that in going from 5th edition to 2024, now that they have this hugely expanded audience, they want to appeal to everybody. They want to appeal to children and like women and men and people who are on the left and on the right and everybody. They want to appeal to everybody. Right.
Yep.
And when you appeal to everybody, when you like widen your audience like this, you're not really targeting anybody, and you sort of lose what made your core devoted audience love it in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
You do things like you tone down the artwork. We don't want to show blood and guts in the artwork anymore. If you go back just maybe 10 years, there was, man, I'm thinking of a module right now, Red Hand of Doom, where there was there's an art piece in it of a man killing a black dragon, and the black dragon is like breathing acid on him, and you can see his skeleton. The man is dissolving.
Yeah,
it is
that's
gory and gross and awesome, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you can find that artwork that goes that hard anymore, right? Because it's much more sanitized.
Yeah.
They're playing it much more safe.
Yeah,
and so it's
I agree. One of the things that I love about Pathfinder 2 is the artwork. If you look at Pathfinder 2 artwork, it's always this like exhilarating, epic adventurers breaking down a door, fighting creatures. It just feels like you look at the artwork of Pathfinder 2 and you're like, I want to play this game. It's just like, oh, this looks so cool. If you look at a dwarf making cookies, does that make you want to play D&D? I mean, it might, like, maybe some people, but not me.
It makes me think, what is this game about? Like, what is this game? This isn't like, are we playing house? Like,
yeah, and do we need 3 big rule books to do that if we're making cookies?
Right?
Yeah, so I get what you're saying. It's not as exciting, at least for I guess us,
I don't have an issue with people that want to sit around and play group improv and call it D&D or whatever when they're not using any of the rules. I've never had an issue with that. I think
Sure.
group improv can be fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so departed from like what the core of the game once was
Right.
that it's like I was on a debate before about like is Dungeons and Dragons a war game? I was on that debate. I was
Uh-huh.
arguing the affirmative, yes, it is side. Now, I think it's
Mhm.
more complicated than that. My opinion's not, it's a really nuanced question.
Yeah.
But I was like telling these people, like, this is what this game used to be. And they're like, yeah, that's not D&D. No one plays that. That's not a thing. But the question is, if D&D is a group of people role playing about baking cookies as dwarves, then what do you call the war game with players venturing in the world and at the
Mhm.
same time controlling factions? What do you call that?
Yeah.
Um, so that kind of becomes the question, and that's the final point I want to make here as we're kind of closing is I feel that game has been lost to time, and it was I ran into a group of people on Twitter called the Bro SR and Jeffro Johnson who kind of turned me on to that and showed me this stuff, right?
Mhm.
And the more time that goes by, the more I realize they were right. There isn't really a name for this game anymore. This game has fallen out of favor. And because if we use the same word to describe every single game and we call that the same thing, we call RP baking cookies,
Right.
then it means nothing and the word
Yeah.
is almost useless because it's
Right.
used to every group. But
Exactly.
sorry.
No. Yeah. Yeah. No. Exactly. So we do have a giveaway going on, ladies and gentlemen. There's a link in the chat if you want to join the giveaway. We're going to draw the winner in just a little bit here, so go do that if you care about winning money to buy D&D books with and crap. Um, but I think, and I mentioned this in our pre-stream little conversation, but my example that I always like to give is like, if you go on Twitch or another streaming platform or even YouTube and you watch actual plays, what do you see people doing most of the time? Most of the time, I would say probably 80 to 90% of those games are people sitting around talking in character. They're doing the social interaction pillar of the game, and then they're doing some exploration, I would say too. But you don't see combat a whole lot, which I find really interesting, um, because when I grew up playing D&D, and if you look at the rule books, 80% of the rules have to do with combat, but my games have a lot of combat in them. The rule books imply that there's a lot of combat, but when you go look at these actual plays, there's not a whole lot of combat. So I have two conclusions that I usually will. Are you alive? Don't die in stream. Wait till the stream's over before you die, please. Sorry, I'm just messing with you. I'm bothering you. So the two conclusions I always come away with are either one, they're all trying to be Critical Role or something, or two, a lot of people actually don't play the game anything like what I've always thought it to be, and they're sitting around doing an improv, like you said. And the third conclusion is, if it wasn't in like the D&D sub area of Twitter or Twitch, I should say, I wouldn't even know that they're playing D&D, because I wouldn't be able to distinguish the game system that they're using, because they're literally just like you said, they're basically sitting around doing improv, and that game is vastly different. The way they're playing it is, and there's nothing wrong with playing it that way. My point is simply that it's vastly different than the rules would indicate or what it was, back when it began. So there's been a vast change in how we play the game.
That's exactly right. I have nothing to add to that. That was a beautiful monologue.
You were also dying during half of it, so you probably didn't catch it all, but that's okay.
I caught all of it.
Like, oh, I'm
I
busy
I just tried to
dying right
breathe in my
now.
water. It's fine.
Oh, you were breathing your water? Oh, that's
Yeah, I
horrible.
breathed my water.
That's horrible. So, water is not meant to be breathed. I'm sure you've been told that before, but
The more you know.
yeah, I'm glad you survived. So,
It would be horrible if I died on your stream. Great for numbers. Like, you would go viral.
please don't do that.
Okay.
I don't care about being viral. That's not gonna help me. Like that YouTuber is known because somebody died on his stream. That's how I want to be known. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Oh boy.
Nobody's gonna want to come on my stream anymore. They'll be like, not after that. You know, unless like the wife pressures the husband to come on because he has a really good life insurance policy, and she's like, no, you got to go on his stream. You got to go on his stream, and she's like, come on, baby, come on. I don't know. So, anyway, that's kind of the discussion. You know, D&D is different definitely than it began, and it's probably going to continue to change. You know, but however you want to play it is cool. Nobody's going to judge you. It's your game. You know, you play it and have fun. So
I think that's so. I've been kind of delving into trying to like discover elements of these old games and bringing them into mine, and you can kind of see that on my blog. But I get a lot of comments of people saying, "Don't tell me how to play" and stuff. But like,
yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to sort of do my own thing, and I don't really care how other people play. I mean, you know, everybody's got a different take on how the rules are followed. I like using the rule books. I think rules as written are pretty important to me.
I agree.
But like, I I think games are born from experimentation. I think experimenting with rules is a great thing, and I know your table is going to end up very different from my table, and that's because we experiment with rules in different ways. And I think diversity in this sense is actually a very good thing for the hobby. I'm not like, I'm not going to show up at your house with a knife and say, all right, show me your Godstein. Like,
why a knife? Why wouldn't you have a gun? Isn't that more effective?
yeah, I didn't know if that was YouTube friendly, really.
Oh,
so,
I talk about my guns all the time.
Oh,
You can talk
yeah,
about guns.
okay. Well,
A knife. Now we're in the UK because that's, you know, it's all the stabbings and stuff. No, we're in America. We have guns. It's okay.
yes. No, I definitely
gotcha.
have guns.
Good. You need them. Everybody needs them, man. Good job. What do you have?
I have a small pistol that my brother gave me,
Is it a
and
9mm?
yeah, and a 22 rifle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a 9mm pistol and a 22
Awesome.
rifle. Those are my guns.
Is it a hammer fired or striker fired?
Striker.
Oh, I'm a hammer. I like hammer fired. I'm like a hammer.
They were gifts. I don't think I've ever bought a gun.
Yeah, that's fine. It's if it goes bang, that's all that matters, right?
Right. I am alone a lot of nights, so I really need it for protection.
Absolutely. Dogs.
But
You have a dog?
no.
Dogs are great. They bark at stuff, and that gives you time. It alerts you, and that's time to get your gun or whatever you got to do. Yeah. Dogs are great. Get a dog.
My cats don't.
Cats are wusses. They're gonna go hide.
Yeah, they're not very good at that.
We have this little Chihuahua dog, and she'll bark at the littlest of noises, and it's perfect. And every time she starts barking, I'm just like, she's doing her job. Leave her alone. Yeah. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna draw the giveaway winner really quick here, and then we're gonna wrap it up. While I'm drawing the winner, Harmony, would you please tell everybody here where they can find you? Do all of your little pluggy stuff.
Well, sure. I'm Harmony Ginger. I live stream on YouTube on Sunday evenings. You can find my channel. It's Harmony_Ginger. I am at Ginger Blast on Twitter or X, whatever you want to say. And I am Harmony Ginger on Substack. My X account is mostly me goofing off. Sometimes I talk seriously about games. Sometimes it's just like memes and I mostly goof off on Twitter. I'm on Twitter, I'm not being productive. So, but I'm on there way too much.
I have cut way back on my Twitter over the last. For a month I was like, let's do Twitter, and then I was like, I don't have time for this.
That's where my core audience is. I started
Yes,
posting on
yes.
Twitter because I was like, I want to share my D&D stuff that I'm doing in my free
Yeah.
time, and I started posting on Twitter, and I built kind of a core audience on
that's
Twitter.
cool.
I've kind of branched out a little bit from
Yeah.
there, but that's where my core audience is, just like yours on YouTube.
100%, 100%. That's where
Yeah.
I'm the YouTube guy. Twitter, 100%. You gotta stick with that. Yeah. I was just trying to do too much, and I'm just like, I can't do all this. This is way too much, man.
Yeah.
You gotta cut back. All right. Winner of the giveaway is Bryant from Lancaster, California. Bryant from Lancaster, California. You have won. I will send you an email. We're going to get you hooked up with $50 to go buy a bunch of cool D&D stuff, Pathfinder 2 stuff, whatever you want, buddy. You can do it however you want. Just, don't do anything illegal with it. All right? Not that you can on my site. So,
Can I just say something?
yeah.
I've been following your chat. Your audience is really nice. I
Are
like
they
your
really?
audience. You have a really good audience. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
They've been like
Uh-huh.
they've been like making good points in the chat, and like some of them have been saying really nice things about me, and they're a really nice audience. I like your audience.
Well, thank you. They were saying nice things about you, but were they saying nice things about me?
Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, like
that's what I thought.
yeah.
By the way, somebody said Michael says the 22 long rifle is the best firearm in the world. I disagree. I like my AR. I think that thing's pretty cool. Yeah, I got it all kitted out now. I have like the red dot, the 3x magnifier scope that flips back and forth. I have backup iron sights. I have a light on it, and I got the obviously the sling and stuff. And I'll tell you, that thing weighs so much. It's a heavy boy now, but it's cool. So sorry, I disagree. All right, Captain Conway says, I want to counterbalance all the niceness to pretend that I called you a slur. Oh, geez. I have to have a moderator ban him. All right. Well, Harmony, thank you so much for coming on. It has been a pleasure.
Thanks for inviting me.
You bet. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, so Harmony, just stay on. We'll say our goodbyes once the stream ends. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for following this riveting discussion on this clear clickbait video title and thumbnail. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody. I can't find my stop buttons.
Oh, Kat, wait